Smile and learn.
What a beautiful sight! Do you know where this is? Actually, the question isn't where, but when. This is a time long ago. Thousands of years ago. This period is called prehistory, the time of the first humans. Why is it called prehistory? It's called prehistory because people didn't write down their stories. Writing wasn't invented yet, so we know everything about them, from their tools, paintings, and remains we've found. In prehistoric times, people were nomadic. They didn't have a permanent place to live because they traveled to look for food. They lived in caves like this one. Caves were safe places where people protected themselves from the cold and the most dangerous animals. When it was difficult to find a cave, they built small huts where they lived for a short time. Did you know that at the end of prehistoric times, humans learned to grow their own food? Then they didn't need to move around. So they started to build more stable and permanent houses. This made them sedentary. That is, they lived in the same place for a long time, just like many people today. Their houses changed a lot, but people always decorated them with paintings and drawings. They told stories about their communities and the animals around them. People painted using colors that they made with different rocks and plants. In prehistoric times, there were no supermarkets or stores, so people looked for food in nature. They hunted animals and gathered fruits and plants to eat. And, as I said before, at the end of prehistory, they learned to grow food. In prehistory, people made tools out of stones. They were very smart. They used stone tools to hunt, cut meat, build shelters, and make clothes. Wow, how stylish! One day, people discovered something incredible. Fire! They cooked and stayed warm using fire. It was one of the greatest discoveries of prehistoric times. This is the end of our trip to prehistory. Exciting, isn't it? See you in the next adventure! Wow! What a beautiful castle! Do you know where this is? Actually, the question isn't where, but when. This castle is from a very long time ago, called the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages was a very long period of time. It started when the Roman Empire fell and ended when Christopher Columbus arrived in America. That's a long time, isn't it? In the Middle Ages, there were three groups of people: the royalty, the nobles, and the peasants. I'll explain them to you. The smallest and most powerful group was the royalty. Only the royal family was in this group, and they made all the most important decisions. There were also the princes and princesses in this group. Both learned to read and write. even the princesses. That was uncommon for women of this era. Princes and princesses from different kingdoms got married to keep the peace and make their kingdoms bigger. The second group was a bit bigger, the group of the nobles. They owned castles and land. They were the most important friends of the royalty. Finally, there was the largest group of all, the peasants. They took care of the animals and farmed so that everyone had food. Remember this castle? In the Middle Ages, there were many castles. Kings, queens, princes and princesses, and nobles lived in castles. Brave knights protected and lived in them too. The castles were huge. There were many parts of the castle, like the tower. You could see everything from the tower. The castle wall was a big, strong wall that protected the people inside. In the center, there was a very important place called the main hall. In the main hall, the king, queen, and nobles talked and had parties. And let's not forget the moat. The moat is like a river that surrounded some castles to make it more difficult for the enemies of the kingdom to enter. You could only cross the moat when the drawbridge was down. Wow! But there were not only castles. As I said before, most people were peasants. They lived in small villages like this one. They worked in the fields, took care of animals, and baked the best bread. Amazing! Later, they started to have markets. At the market, people shared and traded the things they made, like food, jewelry, and even swords. Finally, I'll tell you about the knights. They were very important. They fought in wars to protect the royalty, and they participated in competitions to show their strength and bravery. They wore armor and used swords and spears. It was very fun to watch them in action. Everyone loved the competitions, from the poorest peasant to the most powerful king. Knights were the stars of the age. And here ends our journey to the Middle Ages. Exciting, right? See you in the next adventure! Look at this incredible place! Do you know what it is? It's ancient Egypt. Come with me and discover it. Ancient Egypt is where Egypt is today. What a coincidence, right? But wait a minute. Where is Egypt? Right here in Africa. This civilization began 5,000 years ago, and it lasted 3,000 years. A very long time, right? They left many things behind, so many that even today we are still discovering new things about them. Wow! It's so hot! It was difficult to find food in the Egyptian desert. So when the people discovered the Nile River, they decided to build their villages near it. Thanks to the water in the river, they could grow their own food and fish in the river to have yummy dinners. Also, the Nile was like a road, but you could sail on it. Boats quickly transported people, food, materials, and many other things from one place to another. I'm sure you've heard of kings. Well, in ancient Egypt, they were called pharaohs. And, as you can see, they dressed very differently. Look how elegant they are. They were very powerful. In fact, people thought they were gods. Some of the most famous were Cleopatra and Tutankhamun. Did you know that Tutankhamun became pharaoh when he was only 9 years old? Wow, he was younger than me! Don't be scared, it's only a mummy. The Egyptians believed that when someone died, they went to a different life. So they prepared the body so it wouldn't decay. They cleaned it, perfumed it, and wrapped it in bandages. Then they put the body in a special box called a sarcophagus, on which they drew a picture of the person's face. But they didn't do this for everyone. Only the pharaohs or people with a lot of money had this honor. People also left them food, toys, and other riches to take with them on their journey to the afterlife. But where were these mummies? Do you see these huge structures? They're called pyramids, and it may not seem like it, but they were actually gigantic tombs for the pharaohs. They're still standing today. They look new, but they were built a long time ago. Ooh, how scary! Just kidding. Inside them, there are tunnels, passageways, and secret rooms. It's a big maze. They did it this way so that no one could get to the treasures buried with the pharaoh. But that's not the only thing the Great Pyramids have. We can also see these incredible drawings on the walls. They're called hieroglyphs. This is how the Egyptians wrote and told their stories. I bet you can't say it 3 times fast. Hieroglyphs, hieroglyphs, hieroglyphs. Oh dear. Do you see those peculiar figures? Yes, the ones with the bodies of people but the heads of animals. The Egyptians believed in many gods, and they represented them like this. For example, there was Ra, the sun god, and Anubis, the god of the dead. Each had a special power. And that's the end of our journey to ancient Egypt. Wasn't it exciting? See you on the next adventure.
We've learned so much in just one video. Did you know there are many more videos? Imagine how much you could learn. Subscribe to the Smile and Learn educational channel to learn and have fun at the same time.